Hello everybody, my name is Tastic. Welcome to Trick and Treat. Um, this is a free game on Steam that I found, and I decided to do something different. This is a visual novel, so let's just get started. I like the soundtrack and the sound, even though it's very common. The sound of steps, combined with that of the occasional nocturnal animal, is the only thing we can hear. Honestly, I'm so fucking pubescent that I can't do a creepy, I can't do creepy anything. It's terribly dark in this place. The dense vegetation makes it impossible to see the sky or light from the moon. Our flashlights are the only things that light up our way. At times like this, one begs to not run out of battery. We walk without knowing what we are really looking for, or better said, for no reason. We're just a group of boys bored with our lives. Honestly, I feel the same way. Trying to create a lasting memory on this night instead of just staying home doing nothing. Today is October 31st, All Hallows Eve, better known as Halloween. Fucking course it is. Three young men walk through a dark, but up until now nothing's... What? Walk through a dark. Three young men walk through a dark, but up until now nothing specific... What? I'm gonna fucking kill myself. Nothing special... Me being one of them. Wait, am I the forest or am I one of the kids? I'm confused. We're doing it to prove our courage. It's too bad there isn't a girl here. That's gay. Seeing it like that, one could say this is a meaningless effort. For a moment, I stopped to look at my watch. It's 1:49 a.m. Where are your parents? Oh, I love how the music... I love the loop. Just not obvious. That means we have been walking aimlessly for more than 2 hours now. God, I couldn't... God, my feet are aching just thinking about walking that long in the night in the forest with all those rocks and shit. I am sure that many people would find a place like this terrifying. But once you get used to it, the fear disappears, making it feel like normal. What makes us afraid of the dark is that we cannot know what hides in it, what lurks in the shadows. But this is clearly an empty darkness. And that moment, I sigh, feeling how tired my legs are. What is the point of being here? Clearly we have already demonstrated what we wanted. It would be best to return. I should tell them. I was about to speak when suddenly the atmosphere in the forest becomes strange. Suddenly, a cold chill runs through my body. It was like any other chill except it was not going away. For no reason, the air's temperature dropped from 1 second to the other. So much so, my breath becomes visible, turning into mist. It doesn't end there. The air is now filled with a rotten smell, just a little short from being unbearable. Images of worms and flies soon appear in my mind, giving me a really unpleasant feeling. We all stop at that moment. What should Axel sound like? What's happening? Oh, that's me! Okay. I asked, confused while turning to look at my friends. By the expression of their faces, it was easy to know that they were just as lost as I was. Jesus Christ. I jumped a little too hard. I'm glad I don't have a face cam. It was then that we heard footsteps nearby that did not come from any of us. We all got dead quiet after that. I don't know if it was out of fear or to check if it was not a mistake, but we stayed motionless, like statues, without making a noise. Just looking at each other's faces, wondering the same thing. What was happening? As if I could know. Jesus, nipples on a piece of pizza. We heard the steps again. They clearly belonged to a human, or at least to a large animal, but but there is something strange about them. It sounds as if the person walked dragging one foot. Just thinking about it made me shiver. Damn! Why is this happening? It makes no sense. We should have returned home before, but now it's too late to regret it. I have the feeling that we are being stalked by someone. The strange footsteps stopped, but I'm still feeling the presence nearby. I don't know where it is, but I know that it's looking at me. That cursed thing is looking at me. My heart is beating anxiously. It's almost as if my body was telling me to get out of there. I wonder why. But strangely, my friends seemed unable to perceive it. It seems that it's gone. It must have been just an animal, said one of them, convinced that we were safe. I would like to believe that too. We had a sigh of relief. However, bad luck would soon strike us again. Oh, now it's just pure fog. Unexpectedly, the forest becomes darker than before in just the blink of an eye. But that wasn't the fault of the forest, but of our flashlights, which went out. Fuck. Of the three, only one, mine, was still working. How fortunate. What's going on? Did the batteries die? Asked one of them, scared, while they both beat them desperately, as if that was going to revive them. I can't blame them. The idea of walking in darkness was not pleasant for anyone, but after a few moments we had no choice but to resign ourselves to that. Once more the sound of our footsteps is heard, but the silence is different now. We are not quiet because we have nothing to say, but because we are afraid. We continue walking, despite the fear that invades us. Visibly, it is almost zero, but we have no choice. In theory, we were walking back, looking for the exit, but I cannot remember anything of this forest. We could be walking in circles, and I would never notice it until it is too late. I hate the thought of it. I just want to get out of it. Suddenly, my thoughts are silenced. Jesus. Why? We hear the footsteps of someone or something. Once more, the three of us become statues, awaiting the presence to go. I hold my breath while feeling my heart beating anxiously. Damn! Get away from here and leave us alone! Unexpectedly, the steps are heard closer. This time, they do not appear, but rather come at us. That looks like a person. Just wanted to point that out. I can't stand it. Desperately, I move my flashlight everywhere, looking for the author of those footsteps, hoping for the light to reveal their identity and erase our fears. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Is that all there is around here? Just empty air? My anxiety grows with each failed attempt. I refuse to believe that it was a ghost. Sorry. Suddenly, when I move the flashlight again, I see a silhouette. I could not distinguish what it was, but for a moment the light revealed something. Quickly I point to the same place, only to discover it was gone. I held my breath anxiously. It was not an illusion. I am sure I saw something. It was then I hear something nearby, without even thinking. I aim the light towards that place. Lots of dots. What I found leaves us paralyzed, with an expression of disbelief on our faces. For fuck's sake! It is a white cat with eyes of an intense red which stands before us. Her looks is not the friendliest, to say something. Somehow I get the feeling it's a female cat. Suddenly she lets out a thunderous meow that leaves us terrified. Spooky. It sounded more like a lion roaring than a simple cat. The echo of her meow is heard throughout the forest, making it sound more sinister than it should be. It was then that suddenly an unexpected force hits us three. Ow. Lots of dots. Oh, Jesus. I fall to the ground, and little by little my eyelids close. The fatigue becomes unbearable. I lose consciousness on the ground of the forest without knowing what was going to happen with me. Interlude. Before night falls. What does that mean? Yay! I saved it. I haven't seen anything. It is a day like any other, so normal that it was almost painful. The only special thing that could be said about it is that it's October 31st. Far were the memories when I was a kid and went out with my friends to ask for sweets from house to house. Just remembering it made me sigh. I feel nostalgic. Some things were better when I was a child, or at least seems like that. There were some who had good costumes, whether of superheroes or monsters. My friends and I, on the other hand, had to use our imagination. Creativity was our costume, you could say, no matter how funny it could sound. I remember that my mother once painted red my face and told me, "You will be the devil," but it seems only she saw it that way when we went from home to home. Everyone said I was the Tomato Man. But those things didn't matter to me since we always had a good time. More dots. If I asked for candy now, even if I had the best costume, I'm sure no one would give me anything. Except perhaps a scolding for acting like a child when I am 17 years old. Well, I'm 17, and I'm gonna go trick-or-treating. The fuck you trying to say? Trick-or-treating's the best. But anyway, I can't stay in the past. I must live in the present, no matter how little exciting that might be. More dots. Back to reality, we are a group of friends who don't have any plans for today. We are still not old enough to go to a disco, and I doubt guys as us would have any luck in that environment. The other option would be to go to a party, meet girls, and have fun. Everything perfect, except that nobody has invited us. Not being popular has its disadvantages. Hey, Axel, let's have a couple matches. What do you say? My friend Steven called my attention while playing with the game console. Rushard, I believe that's what the game is called. A fast and quite complicated fighting game for me. I would normally agree to play with him, but for some reason I don't feel in the mood today. I have no desire to play right now, I replied with discouragement. I almost feel bad for doing it. Boring! The AI is no rival for me, Steven said with confidence. That you're playing on normal difficulty does not help your argument. I don't feel like losing, but if you want, you can challenge to Alfred, I said, leading the attention to my other friend. I don't know how to play that, answered Alfred, doubting for a second. He is sitting behind the PC, but it seems that he isn't doing anything interesting. The screen only shows a lot of text. I think he's in Wikipedia. Is he looking at creepypastas? Is he looking at... Oh, that's copyright! I gotta blur that! Hey, do you have something more fun to do? I asked with discouragement again. I appreciate you using long words, but when you use the same one constantly, that's when I know you probably looked this up. Without even thinking about what he was reading, Alfred looks at me surprised. The actual problem of society is that people are not interested in discovering their history. He sounds like Napoleon Dynamite. He is one of those pseudo-intellectuals. Sorry, I was paying attention to something. Like, I was looking at this. Pseudo-intellectuals always looking for any rare information to appear smarter than others. When we forget our past mistakes, we are doomed to repeat them. Oh, like Hitler? He added later. What are you talking about? This village is small and its story is not interesting at all. Nothing outside of the normal has ever happened in it. Alfred laughs mockingly after hearing that. Your ignorance is worthy of praise. I think I'm having more fun with the voices than with the story. He pauses, filling his chest with pride. The very fact it is a small town is the reason it's full of mysteries. Did you know that 20 years ago, on this date, a man disappeared? So, what about it? I asked without being impressed or even interested in the least. God, am I like... What? What am I trying to say? Am I like the most boring person on the planet? Am I just angry at myself? Do I need to see a therapist? Is it because I have an itty bitty wiener? Am I jealous that... Am I jealous that, Stevens is bigger than I am? He's not. Maybe. Things like that happen all the time in all places. As I thought, you don't know the history despite living in this very place. He sounds like he's like a mixture of Napoleon Dynamite and like a cartoon gay guy. Alfred said while adjusting his glasses. Of course he had glasses. I'm so glad I gave him a gay voice. There is a legend behind this disappearance. That is what I was reading. After listening to him, I looked back at the computer screen with curiosity. About time I feel something. It's then that I noticed that it's not Wikipedia, but some other page. Come on, read this and learn a little. Alfred said, inviting us to read what was on the screen. Both Stephen and I moved closer to read it. Oh, God. Since this is a visual novel, there's a lot of reading. That's all this is. Town of Abingdon. Town of Abingdon, Oxfordshire, country, 1994. I came to this town with only 400 inhabitants to support them in an investigation. Truth is that never in my life has I seen something this strange. I won't say your typical detective-ish nonsense that I have seen thousands of strange things in my life. I've seen many crimes, yes, some difficult to solve, but all of them were human. Even if you don't know how they managed to perpetrate, sorry, I couldn't understand that for a minute, all the white. The crime, you know that they are people like anyone else. In this case, I don't think I'm able to say the same thing. Truth is that I can't understand what happened. I was like clicking a bit. I was called for the disappearance of a man named Matthew Graham, 23 years, single. Oh, poor dude. The last time he was seen, he was returning home from a Halloween party. He had drank alcohol but was still sober, or at least that's what witnesses said. Is that a double negative? Oh no, it's not, because I guess if you drink like a little bit, you're fine, but you still have alcohol in you, so you're not technically sober, are you? Whatever. Anyway, this is not something which can be explained with a simple drunkenness. He apparently got lost on the way home and decided to enter the forest called Oakwood. It had rained yesterday, so the ground was wet and muddy. We could easily find his traces which were leading deep inside the forest. Apparently he walked for 3 hours before stopping. I say stop, but the truth is we don't know what happened then. The track suddenly ended up in a clearing in the forest, and that's all. There was no evidence of struggle, no other trace or piece of clothing on the ground. There was no blood, no more footprints or anything else. The depths of his last footprints and the position they were in indicated that he was still walking. At no point he stood still. It was as if he had vaporized in thin air, with all of his clothes in the middle of his walk. Obviously I can't believe such a thing, but I can't give another explanation. The only thing I can remember is that near the footprints I sensed a faint smell of rot. However, there was no animal corpse nearby. It's ridiculous to think he suddenly started to decay and become earth. In the end, the case was closed in just 3 days. With no evidence of any kind, we couldn't say anything but that he decided to escape from the village. However, while officially there was no more to do, I couldn't sleep in peace. Thinking about what could have happened to him took away my sleep. In my mind, I thought all sort of theories, like maybe everything was a plan developed by Matthew, but in the end they all seemed impossible. I decided to investigate more on the issue. I searched the town for similar stories, and to my surprise, I found 4 more. All young men. The story was all the same. They walked into the forest alone, disappearing without trace. Even more curious is that all of them disappeared on the same date, October 31st. But then there's more. A detail that completely eliminates the possibility that there is a killer or a kidnapper behind this, and that is the separation of the years. Roger Bacon disappeared in 1924. Michael Smith disappeared in 1867. Jason Black disappeared in 1813. And the worst of all, Oswald Taylor disappeared in 1707? It simply couldn't be possible. Unless it's like a family and the dad of the kid or the mom of the kid was like, hey, you know what you should do? You should kidnap these people all your life. Like when you're a baby, all the way till you die. You tell your kid the same thing. But that's highly impossible too, so... My curiosity led me to dig deeper. I thought that the answer may be in the past of the forest. It was then when I discovered that what seemed to be a simple and boring forest actually had a great story. Before it was called Oakwood, or Oaks Forest, the place was called Witchwood. Really? The word witch has huge similarity with witch. Taking into consideration that it is an old name and language changes over time, that indicates that it was the Forest of Witches. Apparently more than 400 years ago, the people of the village believed witches lived in the woods. Unfortunately, almost all of the information is already lost. There are stories told in voice without a properly written record. I just know that with the change of religion to Christian, people stopped seeing the witches with good eyes and began to hunt them. Apparently the last one before her death cast a curse over the forest, which even today should continue to exist. Anyway, obviously I cannot accept something like that as an answer. In the end, I have no other choice than accepting that each of them escaped from the village, using the legend of the forest to make it look like it was something supernatural. Hey, back in my room. Oh, I like that carpet. Interesting story. I don't know that such a story was hiding in this town, I said, honestly surprised. Even if it is a lie, I managed to hold my interest. Wait, there's something more, Alfred said. At the same time, he scrolls comments. We read what is written there. A couple of comments call our attention. Both of them talk about some creature, and that they felt a horrible fear for whatever could happen to them. Well, the 2 comments share great similarities, but they could have been written by the same person. There are many others that deny it. Looks like many people went to the forest because of the legend, but couldn't find anything. I thought that you only read these things to look more cool before the girls, replied Stephen as a joke. Alfred giggles with a little shame. Partly, yes. He admitted it. That was a secret everybody silently knew. Well, well, now we have an activity for tonight, Stephen said. At the same time, he makes a face overflowing with enthusiasm. What? I asked, completely lost. I thought we were just killing time. Simple, let's go to that forest, Stephen replied without hesitation. I feel like I'm changing his voice every time he speaks. He seemed really fascinated by the story. Are you insane? Said Alfred, unable to believe what he had just heard. You only need to look at his face to know he did not like the idea. Despite everything you heard, you want to go? Oh, I clicked out of the... Whoops. Of course, it'd be a test of courage among us 3, replied Stephen, full of confidence, perhaps too much. He should relax a bit. Don't tell me you're afraid! No. Why should I be afraid? Answered Alfred. At the same time, he folds his arm, making a false gesture of security. It's more than obvious that you are afraid, Alfred, almost as much as when you have to talk with a girl. What about you, Axel? Don't tell me you don't want to come. Suddenly, Stephen asked me, at the same time looking at me mockingly. Don't tell me you want to be the chicken of the group. I hate that tone of voice he used. I will never give you that, I said without thinking, showing a confident smile and look. Well, let's not say more. Take your coats, backpacks, flashlight, and some food. We are going to the forest, Stephen said, full of energy. Yeah! We three said in unison, as if we were going to have some kind of private party, not really knowing what we were doing or what we were going to find. I love that rug. 2:13 in the morning? I'd be in bed. God, what's wrong with you? I awake completely confused, not knowing how much time has passed. My head hurts like hell, but I can't blame it. Fortunately, the pain goes away quickly, just as my confusion. Soon I come back to my senses. My flashlight is lying on the ground, shining towards the empty air. I immediately pick it up. It was my only protection against the darkness that surrounds me. Then I remember that Stephen and Alfred were with me. Stephen? Alfred! Can you hear me? Whoops. I don't know what I did. I'm sorry, I must have left-clicked. Without thinking, I screamed their names in the dark while trying to find them with my flashlight, but there is no trace of them. They are gone. Where the hell are they? What the heck just happened? I really don't understand anything. Using hell in one sentence and using heck in another is just funny to me, and I don't know why. Shit, we should have stayed at home. This is not a proof of courage. We could be in danger. I have to find them. I have to. Why do we need a jump scene from that? Little time has passed and I started to look for my friends, and I already can't stand this place. I'm going crazy in this forest. The darkness that covers it is unnatural. It is a darkness that steals your own sanity, replacing it with anxiety. To make it worse, the air is damp and cold as in winter, carrying a strong, rot smell, as if there were corpses of animals hiding throughout the forest. The atmosphere in this place is apprehensive. With every step you take, it makes you more uncomfortable. Since I started to look for my friends, I felt that something is watching me, but there is nothing. I sigh with my voice, full of frustration. I just want to get out of here. I continue walking, devoid of any hope. No matter where I look or how much I walk, I find nothing. I can't even hear the sounds of animals. Rather, it seems they are already dead and rotting. No, I have to calm myself, I said to myself. I stopped for a moment to rest with myself. I breathe deeply, but the rotting air of this place does me no good to myself. I'm sorry, I thought it was funny. Immediately, I start to cough, as if I had something stuck in my throat. Shit! What am I going to do? This cursed forest seems endless, and even if by miracle I could escape, I cannot abandon Stephen and Alfred. I'm really screwed up. Again I sigh, feeling on the verge of tears. My frustration is building up, but I have to do my best to keep calm. If I fall into despair, then there is no doubt I will be joining the list of missing persons. In the end, I decided to keep walking. Step by step, I should get somewhere. At least I was convinced that staying in the same place would not do me any good. Even if it was only to deceive myself, feeling that I am doing something, I wanted to continue walking. Time passes without any changes. Only the sound of my footsteps can be heard. Knowing that as soon as you stop, you will be surrounded by a dead silence and I'm gonna fucking shoot myself. In a good incentive to keep walking, but my legs were already hurting. Suddenly I hear a crack at my feet. Instantly I take a step back and look below to see what made that sound. What is this? Oh, I whispered to myself, surprised, discovering that I had stepped on animal bone. I believe it is from an animal, because it's an animal bone. Although I do not rule out the possibility that it belongs to a person. But for my own good, I prefer not to think about that. An expression of anguish is drawn on my face. It is best to ignore it. I have to keep walking. Suddenly, my flashlight reveals something. Without hesitation, I point towards there again. Lots of dots. Oh, the cat's dead. Only to realize with surprise that it is the white cat, the one from before which made that awful meow, but this time I find it lying on the ground. It appears to be fainted and is wounded. Then what should I do? I don't see a wound on him, but I want to pick her up. It's best to continue without waking her. The cat is dangerous. It's her fault that I ended up in this place and my friends are missing, but even knowing that, for some strange reason, I can't help but feel sorry for her. Even if it is unnatural, it is still an animal. I then bend down to see her closer. She is unconscious, and there is a thin line of blood coming from her mouth. I'm a real idiot, I said to myself. At the same time, I cleaned the blood from her mouth with the handkerchief that I had with me. Fortunately, she doesn't wake up. I then close her mouth, making her appearance a little better. Now she seemed to be perfectly sleeping. I don't know what's gonna happen. Was this a mistake to pick her up? After a long slide, I decided to pick her up carefully. I don't know what the powers of this cat are, but if she brought me here, maybe she can return me to my world. With her in my arms, I decided that the best thing I can do is continue walking. Man. Alright. It's already been half an hour. This is... Wow. I will continue with this if people enjoy this, or if I just feel like recording this. But for now, I'm just going to pause it here at 2:31 a.m. and I picked up the cat, so do not tell me anything if you've already seen this. And I burped. But I hope you guys really enjoy. My name is Tastic, and I hope you shit yourself.